New details came out earlier today for Star Wars The Mandalorian. Let's talk about it. So we have a new interesting tidbit that came out. What we're going to be discussing today is Entertainment Weekly. First of all, here is a brand new image from Entertainment Weekly. The look of The Mandalorian. Gina Carano's character here. Cara Dune, we have The Mandalorian himself, Pedro Pascal. And I'm not sure who that is in the middle. To find out, this was posted today at 12 p.m. Eastern, while I was away. The Mandalorian steadily enters the safe house. 2 stormtroopers stay on guard. The soldiers have become freelance mercenaries since the Empire had collapsed. Their once pristine armor now grimy with dirt. The bounty hunter creeps up behind them and fires his blaster, gunning them down. So yes, the Mandalorian shoots first, and shoots his enemies in the back. This is the brutal, lawless world of this new Disney Plus Star Wars series, which brings a galaxy far, far away to the small screen as a live-action series for the first time. The show is set after the downfall of the Galactic Empire and Return of the Jedi, but before the events of The Force Awakens. For now, chaos reigns across the universe, especially in the outer reaches of the galaxy, where a Mandalorian bounty hunter stalks his prey for diminishing returns. It's like after the Roman Empire falls, when you don't have a centralized shogun in Japan, and of course the Old West, when there wasn't any government in the areas that had not yet been settled, says showrunner Jon Favreau, who directed The Lion King, who spearheads the series along with longtime Star Wars animated series producer Dave Filoni. Those are also cinematic tropes in films that originally inspired George Lucas to make Star Wars. Indeed, The Mandalorian's clear inspiration is the first act of A New Hope, which played like a western set in space. Exotic creatures, smugglers, soldiers, and bounty hunters leading rough lives in an overlooked outlaw territory. Conversely, the show is perhaps the furthest from the Star Wars prequels and the aristocratical poshness of their Jedi Council meetings on Coruscant. Expect the Mandalorian to travel from system to system in a very boots-on-the-ground tale, without any major legacy characters, at least not in the first season. I've always been curious what the other people in the cantina are up to, Favreau says. We're digging really deep into the toy chest and pulling out the action figures that people were always curious about, and we're not quite in the center frame, but we have a lot of potential. Or as Filoni puts it, these are the action figures you got. Your older brothers have had good ones. Somehow you got Boba Fett, and if you have Boba Fett, you can always tell a good story. The Mandalorian represents a crucial asset for Disney and Lucasfilm. The show, with a reported budget of $100 million for the 8, not 10, episode debut season, is the highest profile series to launch with Disney's new streaming service, Disney Plus, on November 12th. And at a time when Disney has set its plans to slow its roll on making new Star Wars movies, The Mandalorian will be the first test of whether the iconic 42-year-old Sci-Fi brand can work in the live-action TV space, with more live-action titles such as an Obi-Wan series starring Ewan McGregor, and a Rogue One prequel series starring Diego Luna, also in the works. At first glance, the lead character on The Mandalorian is just Boba Fett by another name. But look closer. Boba Fett, despite that armor, wasn't actually Mandalorian. He was a clone who culturally appropriated the look. And unlike Boba, he's operating in a much more unforgiving landscape where survival is difficult enough, let alone flourishing, Favreau says. Plus, as star Pedro Pascal puts it, the Mandalorian would prefer to do the right thing, but his duties could very much be in conflict with that, and doing the right thing has many faces. Speaking of faces, don't expect to see Pascal's very often. The Mandalorian, or Mando, as called on set, is pretty fun in keeping that helmet on. So yeah, Pascal not so much. The actor spent a bit of time bumping into things around the set before he got the hang of it. So yeah, it seems like for the most part, Pedro Pascal's The Mandalorian will not be... We won't see his face at all, which is cool. Centering a TV series on a character obscured by a mask is perhaps the show's boldest move. But if anyone can make that premise work, it's Favreau, who directed Iron Man. Assisted by Pascal's clinical line delivery and tourist physicality, along with the expressive choices in camera work and editing, Favreau manages to infuse the character with a surprising amount of personality. What's remarkable is when you see the whole stretch of the first season, how engaging the character is, Favreau says. It's amazing how many Star Wars characters are emotionally engaging, that are even anthropomorphic. R2-D2 is my favorite character, and he barely has an eye. Okay. So, yeah. The main premise of today was to talk about the fact that it does appear that we will not see much of the face, the actual physical face of the Mandalorian. So another because this is actually pretty darn ridiculous.